Hello and welcome back to Talkin Pitch Side. I am your host PJ with my co-host Tony, as always, here to cover all things U.S. men's national team in World Cup right now. We are coming off not doing a Tuesday episode, so we have a lot to cover. We are currently sitting 20 minutes before the USA kickoff for their next matchup against Turkey, and we are going to do a little recap right now, talk about the lineup for this Turkey game, what we think about it, and then do a little watch along as we talk about the rest of the World Cup in that first half of that game. So our full reaction will be on the Tuesday episode that comes out next week, but we wanted to make sure we get this episode out and get some reactions to, of course, the Australia result, the rest of the World Cup, and USA here going forward. But Tony, before we get into lineup, before we get into that, I told you last episode if we won that Australia game, I was going to get pretty loose with my excitement and to be Raymond's like winners of the World Cup. And I'll be honest, I kind of am there. Not winners of the World Cup, but you start looking at the bracket when
Yeah,
you
I was about to
win
say.
2 games in a row. Like you start going, ooh, okay, I like this, like the how this looks. And let's talk about the result first. We'll talk about the path next. But result wise, it was a professional result. Is what it felt like. It felt like a veteran team coming into a World Cup, knowing what they got to do to win the game, and just doing exactly what you need to get a result. Like, yes, it wasn't as pretty as the 4-1 Paraguay win. Yes, offensively, in the second half, it wasn't as pretty as it has looked the whole time. But what I would argue is they got the 2 goals against a team that was trying to park the bus,
Yeah.
and they got them early, own goal again, early on. And I think, what's been said now, we've had some time to afterwards to reflect some of these interviews. What really ended up being a tactical decision by the U.S. men's national team. Yes, I'm sure they would love to have attacked a little bit more, but they knew the only way Australia was going to score 2 goals in that game was if they over pressed forward,
hmm
trying to get a third goal and allowed them to get slip in past and get a counter attacking goal. That was just knowing who you're playing against and just saying we're not going to beat ourselves in this situation. We're going to make you break down our defense and score a goal, which you haven't proved you can do yet in this World Cup. And that's exactly what happened. And it was like a great defensive match for the team. We haven't had a shutout in a damn near a year as a national team, so it was great to see
Yeah.
that in the biggest stage. And I feel like you silenced a lot of haters that were like, that was a really good one performance from the U.S. men's national team, and you backed it up with a very professional performance. And once again, I think the most impressive part, which I'm sure you'll cover, they started with their hair on fire. Like the way they've come out in these games, just high press, high energy to get a goal early, which you aren't seeing from a lot of World Cup teams. And I think that's this day and age in soccer of wanting to sit back and get into the game a little bit. Like it feels that they are going the opposite trend and saying we're going to press early and try and get that early goal so we can adjust from there.
Yeah, they didn't let the game get cagey. And I think that was the big part. We talked about this going in. We knew Australia was going to lay deep. And it was all going to be about who scores first. And that's how it goes a lot with these games where you got these bunker and counter teams such as Australia. Because really, as soon as we poked that hole in Australia, which came quick, their game plan unraveled. And I think there's something to be said. I know that second half definitely looked really non-coherent, pretty inconsistent, a lot of back and forth, and not a whole lot generated. But I think that was kind of the game that Australia was really trying to implement. And it wasn't until, kind of like you said, where we got that 2-goal cushion and we're coasting in the second half to say, okay, let's just make sure we don't concede here. And I think a little bit Australia, too, is preserving themselves in their goal differential as well to say, they're looking at, okay, at this point, we're not beating USA. We're not going to win the group. Eyes are on that second place spot, which now is also tonight at the same time we'll be watching the USA-Turkey game. This is a big matchup for them against Paraguay now that both teams have beaten Turkey. If they draw, it comes down to goal differential as far as who gets that second place spot in the automatic bid into the bracket versus
A draw. A draw is one of those funny things, though. We've seen it
yeah.
in the NFL. Funny enough, where do you remember that scenario? Where it was like, if these two teams tie, they both make the
They'd
playoffs.
be okay.
If these
Yeah,
two teams draw, they're both going to make the knockouts.
because they're both on 4 points. Yeah.
So it's really gonna it will be interesting to see how ambitious they come out to like try and get a goal when they both know, but you don't want to be so unambitious that the other team takes advantage of that and score a
Yeah,
goal. So
I
it's going to
haven't
be another
looked.
cagey affair between those two teams that like to sit deep. Both of them do. So it's really going to be teams inviting each other to come out and play out
Right.
of their norm.
I don't know who, if the third place ends up coming out of our group, I don't know who they'd play first round, but I know right now Paraguay is currently slated to play against Germany, and in 4 days. So, like, just quick turnaround and Germany. So, like, yeah, maybe you do want that third place slot. I don't know where that spits them out yet, but something to consider there with that as well. I think that's going to be a fun game to. That's my second monitor, by the way, when we're doing the live watch along, just like how we've been doing the two games, which has just been insane. Now with the end of these groups, but yeah, going back to the U.S., like I think that it's still another very solid performance. You didn't see shaky moments defensively. It was an Australia team that didn't really make you feel that, but
Mm-hmm.
I think just that even like on those teams, like you got to walk before you can run, right? If you
Yeah, I
can't
mean,
do it against the shaky teams like Australia, you're not going to be able to do it against
yeah, the,
Bosnia and so on and so forth. So
the two ways Australia are going to beat you are on the counterattack, which once again I think the midfield did a great job of snuffing out any opportunities that even came in that game to quickly be on the press. And then two was to hurt yourself and make that bad pass. And there were like I think two early on that were like you could tell they were like getting
yeah,
their first passes in the game. I think Alex Freeman had one like the first like 15 seconds of the game that almost went behind Chris Richards and for them to have an opportunity. And it quickly turned into this team settling in. And you saw the likes of I mean, a guy that's been highlighted now all week is Alex Freeman, who gets that second goal off the deflection of Sergio Dest's shot.
yeah,
And what a story! Like I think that's the fun part that you can enjoy when your team is doing what they're doing is you now get to start enjoy the storylines. Like with the second win, the pressure was off because Turkey went and lost, which we'll talk about here in the preview in a second. Turkey went and lost their second game against Paraguay in a nuts game. So
yeah,
you now had this whole week knowing you weren't playing, and you could tactically change lineups and adjust things. But that also allowed the team just, I think, to enjoy the moment a little bit and be like, hey, like we we don't have to be stressed this week. Like this can be a hey, let's still prepare, let's still take it serious. We still want to keep momentum, like you saw Mexico do in their game, but you can enjoy the moment. Like I think it was probably good for them to be like, holy crap, we're playing in the U.S. for their World Cup. Like they were able to soak that in a little bit more this week, and
right.
you hear the stories of Alex Freeman and. I mean, the rise this kid has had over the last 2 years. We've had a front row seat at. Uh, Basically, Alex Freeman's lifespan in professional soccer has been us in this podcast. It's like that. That's the
Yeah,
funny part. Like that's how
honestly, yeah,
short
right.
a time this has been, Tony. It was Alex Freeman's when we started this podcast was not a starter for Orlando City. Like that's how
He was
fast
on
this
Orlando
kid has
City too.
gone
Yeah,
from not a starter to playing Villarreal to starting for the U.S. Men's national team and being one of the young breakout stars in this tournament. And I think that's been the enjoyable part this week. And I think that the victory showcased a lot of just different ways the U.S. can now adjust. Like I think that was also good to see. Like the Paraguay game was awesome because they went out just flat out dominated and they didn't really need to take second half as serious. This game, like a 2-0 lead, is great. We all know it's the most dangerous lead in sports, and
yep,
they had to play a different way, which was bunker in and defend, and that's how they played. And I think that is actually good for them moving forward to have that experience against a team like that. To say like, hey, we had to tactically adjust because there are going to be teams eventually after the first two rounds, especially if you are lucky enough to move on past that. You're not the better team anymore. You're just not, and you're going to play 80% of the game defending, and
right.
you have to be able to do that. So I, I I think in the long run, of course, Australia is not a great team to break down a defense, but it's still an experience that I think is helpful for this team to figure out how to win in a different way. And it's it's been fun. I'm sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we've both just been like smiling all week thinking about it. It's crazy to
Hmm.
think that we're in this situation where like if you would have told us like coming into this World Cup. I did not have to care about the third game because we were playing that well. I would have called you crazy. Like that's how much of a fun ride this has been so far. And now we can slide into this Turkey preview a little bit, but
Yeah.
now we're going against this Turkey team that had all the expectations to win the group from many people outside of the United States. They have arguably the two of the best players on the field at all times. If you were to match these teams up against each other, Yildiz and Guler from Real Madrid, and they have just what a storyline that's been in this group. Which
Yeah.
they have taken, I think, is 62 shots between two games and have no goals. Now, we all know tactically everyone's critiqued them because the shots have been like the shot choices have been horrible. They have had no like intuition of how to like break down a low block, which is what they've gone against twice now, and have just no idea how to break that down, which is interesting because the United States is not going to play that way. So I think they're going to be more dangerous in a game like this against us than they would be against Australia and Paraguay. So I think it's a good matchup, which is only the like I think the only sad part I have about this matchup is we're rotating and these guys aren't getting a matchup like this, that it's like a different style of game that they would have played in, which is okay because I don't want guys getting a second yellow card. We'll talk about that here in a second. We talk about the lineup. And I don't want guys getting injured. Like that's the reality. And I know people are worried about losing momentum, but you know what kills momentum way harder is if Christian Pulisic, you push him or you push a Tyler Adams or somebody or Chris Richards and they pull a hamstring, the momentum's gone regardless. Like that's just dead in the water. So I think this is a great blessing to have. I think it's good to see us have this ability to do what we're going to do against Turkey. And I think it still can be a momentum building result, especially if you get a result. Like I can't imagine the level of hype that's going to come out of this game if these backups come in and win a game 2-0 or 3-1 or something like that. Because then I think we're going to start getting really delirious on like the first takes of the world and the ESPNs of the world that you're going to see.
We're gonna lose our
because they've
minds.
already been hot and spicy, and
Yeah.
and I want to get in that as we watch the game about some of the former U.S. players making comments. But give me your first take. I'll let you if you want to dissect this lineup a little bit.
Yeah.
And go through it and kind of talk about some of the changes that are happening here.
Right. Well, I'll start with just talking about Turkey for a half second and just what their tournament has been, and it's really been like honestly shocking how individualistic it has looked. Like they do not seem to really operate as a team. I mean, this looks like, and this is pure conjecture, but this looks like a team that like does not get along in the locker room. Like there is some weird drama going on, like something happening where like nobody's on the same page, nobody likes each other. And you saw that play out in their first two games. And
I'll say, by the way, before their first game, they went to the media and basically said, we're the most talented team in the group.
Yeah.
Stated to the media, and we
Very
should cruise
strange.
through these games. Like that is what they were saying out loud to the media. And to fall like this is just as embarrassing as it gets. I mean, they were the second team eliminated.
They get eliminated,
stage.
Yeah. Unreal. And like so many people were picking this Turkey team to win the group. And so, they are part of the hype, and it is just it's been baffling. Like it doesn't add up. The talent on paper does not add up to the product that they've put on the field. So that being said, with a game where they have nothing to play for either, I don't know if they're going to try and stay face a little bit and just say, like, hey, we're about to go back to our country. We need to at least give them, something, and say like it wasn't a total flop. We gotta win, whatever. Figure that out. Or if it just is continue the same, like their doom spiral just continues here. Which honestly, I could see. I think both are very realistic options here, and maybe you see glimpses of both here, but. That's what I'd be watching for. And so this lays an interesting stage here for our lineup, which is heavily rotated. I think that it's been one thing that's been really fun for me is having this conversation with so many people out there, not even soccer watchers, but like now all the USA, people saying like, well, like, what do? We already won the group. Like, we just play the all guys, right? And I was like, no, the yellow cards but you got, then 2 weeks off. What do you so like, I think there is a real debate there, like.
Sorry,
okay.
I'm laughing because Paris Hilton is walking out to do the game ball with her children, and it's hysterical.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Thank you, right Paris. Now. Yeah. We wouldn't have this game without
Paris
her.
Hilton, been in all 3 games. Represent Paris Hilton.
Yeah, okay.
For the
Yeah, you're right. She's repping the brand, so we'll give it that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it sets an interesting stage for a lot of these guys that what we need to drive with this is, in a way, this is like a friendly. Obviously, it's a World Cup, not a friendly. But you're not going to be able to take away a lot about what we're going to look like in the knockout games. What you can take away a lot from, in my opinion, is these are the first guys that'll be coming off the bench as some of these people on the
Mm-hmm.
field right now. And so that being said, I think that this is a great opportunity for a confidence booster. You have Pepe poke one in tonight, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, when we need a goal and there's like
Mm-hmm.
12 minutes left, and this dude is like, getting his gears going to ready to run on the field for Balogun, like that's the kind of
Well,
confidence you need, for a striker, for example.
I mean, it's also like the way that the now knockout is shaping out. Like, you are going to be favored in 2 games. Like that.
Mm,
That is a real thing. You're going to be favored in the first 2 knockout games, and you're going to need some of these guys to step up if yellow cards come into play, if other things come into
right,
play during this knockout stage. Like, you may need a guy or two to start in place of somebody, and this is their opportunity to go out there and prove why they should be included.
right.
Like, you think about guys that have been frustrated with the lack of play, like Tim Weah, one of the guys that has not played very much, and like it's been documented that he's being a team player, but it's like these guys
Right,
want
he's
to play.
mad.
Like,
Yeah.
these guys that are starting today are fulfilling the same dream the guys that started the first game and starting a World Cup game. And you don't think they're just as motivated, knowing that might be their one and only chance to ever have this moment? Like, this is an opportunity for them to be motivated and play, even more so than I think you would get out of the normal starters. Like, you might get an energy level that you wouldn't have gotten out of the normal starting group. So that might create like an intense game from that perspective, which I think is exciting. And there's guys that we've been talking about, Tony, starting in this team for the past 4 years that we thought could have been starters. Like Tim Weah, not that long ago, was like a shoe-in starter for this team.
Yeah.
Brendan Aronson has performed at the Premier League level over the last year. Like that, you were like, oh, this guy's making a name for himself. And like I said, let's get into the lineup here because they're doing anthem and stuff. So before the game starts, but I'm gonna run through it really quick. So I think some of the bigger changes that caught people's eye. Matt Turner is starting, which I think that's the one thing I don't really agree with that they're doing. I would have
Yeah.
loved to see Matt Freese get some more experience, especially against a team that's going to get more shots on the net compared to the last two. So that's the only thing I think I'm really like, I don't feel as great about.
Biggest critique for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the attacking front, which I'll start because I think the back line is the biggest question for this group. I actually like this attacking front. I think it's a group of guys that are going to take on their defender, like one-on-one. Like it's a group in Gio Reyna, Brendan Aronson, and Tim Weah are playing that like middle trio, attacking trio behind Ricardo Pepi, and all three of those guys are going to feed balls into Ricardo Pepi. Like he's going to have chances in front of net to put the ball away, which I think is exciting for him. And then you have the deep lying midfielders. Weston McKennie's actually playing that role today, which he hasn't been so far. So it'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how that actually looks because they've shown it like this before, and then it hasn't really played out like that. Like, is Gio Reyna going to drop in that spot? Is Brendan Aronson going to drop in that spot at times while he makes the run, and see how that fluidity works? And then it's the back line of Joe Scally, Miles Robinson, Austin Trusty, Mark McKenzie that are biggest question mark. The guy like Guler and Yildiz are going to get chances in this game. It's just about them finishing it. And
Yeah.
it'd be great to see these guys step up, have a great chance, like a great game defensively. I just don't think there's a world we have a shutout in this game. I think Turkey probably gets their first goal, and it's going to be about that midfield of Berhalter, McKennie helping out this defensive line and making sure that they have the help they need, and then the attacking are just going to have to score
Right.
multiple goals probably for us to win this game.
Can I spin zone this for a second? I know we just don't have time, but actually, you know what? I'll spin zone later in the game. Just a crazy idea, but anyways, no, I think that ultimately it makes a ton of sense why you rotate and do this. Get the yellow card guys out of there. We already hit on this, but this is tryouts for that first sub on spot to solidify any of those kind of positions. Here's my fear, and I don't know if it's rational or not, but what I kind of mentioned, I really love just the hype that's been around this team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like the non-soccer watchers are talking about it and saying, "Oh, we could have played England on July 4th," and like all that stuff that you hear, and it's just like, yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Like at least paying a little bit of attention, like I'm worried that this one may, like, if this doesn't go well, does that kill the momentum?
Lose like three
You
games.
know?
I really don't think so. Like I don't think it's gonna happen. I think the home crowd with these guys, like they'll be up for it big time,
Mm,
and I think they'll play motivated. You got to remember, this Turkey side isn't necessarily a motivated side playing today.
right.
Like they are out of it. Like this is well and truly a friendly. They rotated 7 guys, so they're also a rotated team right now of giving other guys an opportunity to start a World Cup game for the first time ever in their lives. So it's a weird situation for both, and I also just like I feel like the general sports fan has caught on to this game doesn't really matter. Like it does, but like to a really, really, really casual person, they're like talking to a coworker today. They're like, "Are you gonna watch it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but it's not as like
Yeah.
intense." And they're like, "Oh, okay." Like I think most people understand like a March Madness, and that's just kind of how they're gonna like correlate this. Is like, hey, they still made the tournament. I'll be really locked in for the really important game. Like I think that's just like how a lot of people will treat this.
Yeah.
And I think they can spin zone it really easily if they would lose this game. Like I think that's what people will do. But I think on the other end, like what you're saying, I think the what it could do for U.S. soccer as a whole, and like soccer in this country, if you win this game with a rotated squad, like to these people who don't even know this is a rotated squad, like some people are tuning in tonight, Tony, and they're like, they just assume these are the guys because they haven't been watching,
Yeah. This Miles
which is
Robinson ain't
hilarious.
bad. Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's the opportunity you have. So like I hope they turn up. I really trust they do. We're about to have kickoff here in a minute, which is crazy. But
Yeah.
I do think this team turns up, and it's going to be fun to watch. I'm glad that we're doing a little watch along here. Excuse me,
Well,
a little sneeze there.
yeah.
But it's going to be, in my mind, I'm just like more interested in like the first like 10 minutes because I think
Yeah.
this group of guys for us could be come out a little frantic, a little disorganized, like because it's looked so pretty with the organization of our team and like the rotating. Because I think a lot of people have like commented for World Cup standards, like of teams, because usually like tactics are pretty simplified on international football, just because you're not practicing all the time together. Like that's not a
Hmm.
thing that happens. So you can't like overdo it with tactics. Like it's more about just like, hey, let's play a certain way and let's fulfill it. A lot of people have been commenting like this is a pretty like intense way of playing that the US is playing, where it's like it's a lot of trust in your teammates and rotating and filling the void where you are. I mean, almost like the total football Dutch way of playing to a degree, where it's like Weston McKinney's going to make runs and someone's got to fill that spot, or like
Right.
Sergino Dest is going up, Anthony Robinson's going up, like Alex Freeman, you've got to rotate and play defense now. Alex Freeman goes up, Dest, you've got to be aware and rotate back. So like that's where my fear is with this team and this squad that haven't been playing together. I don't know if you're going to see as fluid as a team today. And I think tactically, I don't think they're going to say, like, hey, right back, which I think it might be like Mark McKenzie or Joe Scally. Like, hey, Joe,
Yeah.
you're not really
Right.
attacking player like Alex Freeman is. You need to sit back. Like, we're not
Right.
asking you to go up today. So it might just look more natural of that 4-2-3-1. Like, it might just, like, really sit in that rather than rotate into that 5 back more often. So I'm interested to see how that plays out because I think it could be a little awkward if they try and do it the same way that the regular squad has been doing it.
Yeah. And we're kicking off pretty much right
Woo,
now, I'd
woo.
say.
And then I'm gonna pull up this other screen here because I want
Yeah,
to.
I'm like, better get Paraguay, Australia up.
Well, now I'm not gonna have that up. I'm gonna pull up the knockouts here, so we have a conversation piece as well
Oh,
as
okay.
we're going about this. But bear with us, listeners, because this is new
Yeah.
strategy for us
This
too.
is, yeah, we're really trying this out. And there may be times where something happens and we just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
pause, which
Yep.
doesn't make good air. But, as Berhalter just megs a guy already. So, like, we're already feeling good. But, okay, while you're pulling that up, though, here's my spin zone. Let's say, Turkey's going to fire a lot of shots, right? We're kind of expecting that. Matt Turner makes a lot of really good saves. We end up having a good game. Hooray, USA. Matt Turner can't win this starting job, right?
No, 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 no. There's no way.
Right?
I think this is I think we all would have loved to see Matt Freese get more opportunities. I think this is more so hey, if something were to happen and we didn't, if Matt got hurt or something, like we want Matt Turner to be ready to go. Also, like, there's a part of me that's happy for him. I mean, this is a guy who started last World Cup and
Yeah.
for so long thought this was his spot. Oh,
Yeah. Okay. I'm a little ahead of you. I got to temper myself.
yeah, you got to pause it. Where are you at? What seconds are you at?
1 minute, 15 seconds.
Oh, I'm at 104 right now. So you pause like
Jeez.
10 seconds for me so we can be a
Okay.
little
Hold on.
closer. But I am happy for Matt Turner and like this opportunity for him because this is, I mean, he's a great guy, great teammate. Like everyone
Yeah.
has been saying, I saw an interview. Chris Richards was talking about him and Mark McKenzie, two guys that like have been the guys that have kept the locker room. Like, oh my gosh, have
I was
kept the
gonna say,
locker room.
when have you seen this
Oh
corner
my
kick
gosh.
shot? Okay, there
Sorry,
it is. All
I
right.
just saw the
Dang.
rebound shot
Okay.
too. So
So what do
early
you
chances
what?
for the U.S. here.
Okay.
We love that. They're starting exactly how the other teams have started, which we love to see. Who was
Yeah.
that? Was that Trusty that almost just scored that? That's insane.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that this is a good moment for those two because Chris Richards was saying those guys are like the locker room guys. Like they are the glue guys. They keep everyone aligned and together, which is exciting. And I think it's cool to see these kind of guys get the opportunity that they're getting. We're going to see a corner here.
Yep.
Berhalter whips it in.
Berhalter. Oh.
Trusty with the goal!
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh! The USMNT has
Look at that.
scored in
He's
the
got
second minute.
yes, he's got the Holland run like arch shoulders.
They're
Oh,
running together. Tony,
yeah,
they're winning the whole thing.
man,
They're winning the
this
whole
is
thing.
this is box office. All right, I've seen enough. That is crazy. Well, how is he that open? Just far post like that on the corner. I who loses him here? It, I
No
mean,
one.
he's
There's
just
just
all
no
by
one marking.
himself.
No
Yeah,
one's marking the biggest guy in the field. That is
right.
remarkable. And then it's not a header for the listeners. It is a takedown in the chest volley from Austin
Yes,
Trusty. I mean, that is
and he
a
just
strike you
crushes
see
it
out of
near post.
attacking players. That is
Yes,
remarkable.
yes, with that blessed left foot that he has.
It is exactly what we're talking about, Tony. Where we said, you momentum wise, they are not taking their foot off the gas. Like this is
No,
how you get the U.S. crowd and U.S. fan base into
correct.
you as a
You
team.
get him going.
Is you're doing it again. They've scored a goal in the first 10 minutes of all three games in this tournament so far.
That's
Like
crazy.
it is exactly what we talked about. A team that has not started sitting back. They've said we're taking the challenge to you, and I think it's so cool to see. I love to see this.
Yeah, I mean, Turkey is just.
They look like a mess.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see
You know,
if they
it's
just
a fully rotated
cruise.
Turkey backline too, so you've got to imagine that
Yeah,
plays a part in something like
a little
that.
bit, and a set piece too. And that was the other part. You know, like when you have Berhalter starting like that, he can offer the delivery. Like we talk about, like he might be the best set piece taker on the team. And so having him there for that corner kick, pick out Trusty. I mean, like that's some of the beauty. You do get a little bit of different strengths with this rotated team versus our starters. That they have their own qualities too. So that's been good.
So by the way,
Another thing, I'm
yeah,
I was just about to say that. Yeah, it's
we're
a 4-4-2.
Trusty at the left back. So the
Yeah,
graphic did have it wrong. He's at left back. You're seeing Miles Robinson, Mark McKenzie at the center backs, and then Joe Scally at right back, which is exactly what we thought because Trusty is the left-footed
right.
center back.
But I think to your point, like I mean, they're defending in it like pretty rigidly. You're not going to see Scally go up. I think he's going to look like. I mean, it's going to look like a traditional left back, right back system here with this.
Well, Scally's just not an attacking player. Trusty's not an attacking player. So I think they're just going to have more freedom. This is the scenario I get a little worried about. Is like they're playing on the back here, and it's
I get
not
a little
as gritty as it has been with the other group. But you know, you hope they
right.
slow down a little bit here.
All right,
Wow,
Berhalter foul. Okay, no, they're okay.
Halter.
Yeah,
Oh, what a ball!
nice. Keep going up. So, I mean, this is the one I think too. Like because of these early goals, a little behind him. Because of these early goals, I think that it just has forced all of our opponents to try and just get out of their shell a little bit now to make something of it. Like that's been a game state that we're getting. I mean, we've been really familiar with in this tournament. It's going to be interesting. Maybe we don't see it in this game, and hopefully we don't, to be honest, or ever. We just win the whole World Cup like this. I'd prefer it. But what the response is, how tight the things look, those kind of things, and like there's going to be teams that are, I think, looking at moments like that, and we've had these moments against Paraguay and Australia too, where, like you said, we're possessing in our own half and things look a little bit shaky. Like, wow, I mean, this ref's just letting everything go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's something to watch for sure. Is like, hopefully we don't get too comfortable with this game state, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And once again, like this passing in the back and the back line is what's going to freak me out a little bit in this matchup.
Right. Matt Turner, I'm going to trust a little bit more with his passing than Freeze, though. I will say that.
Really playing on an island by himself in that like Adams like role. And that was the interesting part what we've talked about with the lack of center mids that you brought to this tournament. Roldan all week has had an injury, so we knew that there was a good chance he wasn't going to play because of that.
Rip Roldan.
And now you're sitting in a spot where you're playing Berhalter, who's not a true CDM at CDM. Like that is a situation that is happening in this, which, in a game like this, I feel comfortable with. I think in another situation against a better team, I'd be really nervous about. So I think this is actually good for that scenario to have Berhalter play this role, because if Roldan or you don't trust him or if he's not fit, like Berhalter is going to be the guy coming in for Adams if something were to happen. So I think this is a good test for him to play in that role. And, he's a physical player, but he's not necessarily a true defender at all times. Like, he isn't in MLS, like, he's an attacking player. Like, he provides that for Vancouver. So it is a more unique role for him to play.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, like, he does well defensively, but he's not asked as much defensively.
Oh.
So, jeez.
This is a physical game.
Yeah, Turkey's pissed off. And Wonderboy Arda Huler.
This, by the way, this Aronson Berhalter duo is going to be a pest to these guys. They're going to hate these two by the end of the night.
Right. And, yeah, I was going to say that. And, honestly, Pep. Oh, geez.
Kick the ball away. It's yellow.
Yeah. And I think Pepe's going to be able to do that too. But
I use this time right here. There's a little break, and you can keep watching and let me know if anything's happening. I'm going to talk about some of these other groups and results that have happened. So,
yeah,
Group A finished. Mexico tops that group. They win all 3 games. They take down Czech in the last with nothing to play for, 3-0, which I think a lot of people were shocked by. Probably one of the more poor groups, like besides Mexico results, you could have seen. I mean, we saw with one of the respectfully to South Africa, respectfully to this new World Cup system, probably one of the worst sides to ever move on in the round of 32 in South Africa. That last game was awesome. That goal was awesome. The fan reaction was awesome to see them move on. But, after it, Tony, I don't think anyone would have guessed after that first game of South Africa in the opening match that you would have seen them going to the knockouts. And, they get the result. They get the result against South Korea, and they get the draw. They get the draw against Czech, and then they get the victory against South Korea. And South Korea, I think, is probably the biggest disappointment, or one of the biggest disappointments in this tournament so far. They have a trouble. Son gets dropped in this game, which was shocking in its own right. And to see him not start, I think is a little sad for a lot of South Korea fans as well, just like the end of an era and how it ended this way. That's probably his last World Cup, and he didn't have a great World Cup. South Korea didn't have a great World Cup, and it was ugly to end. So that was unfortunate, and I think it's pretty remarkable to see South Africa moving on with Mexico from this group.
Yeah, that South Korea was disappointing when their own local media is asking the coach. Oh, geez. Oh, wow. How'd that get through?
Turkey scores.
Yep. This is what you worried about.
Really bad from Mark McKenzie.
Yeah, let's watch this again. Well, I'll finish my thought later, because this was sloppy, and it just kind of felt like a really jammy stuff that did not go our way on multiple of these. I need to watch this again. Mark McKenzie gets blown off from his guy.
That's really bad for Mark McKenzie twice.
And then just can't track Arda Huler. Yeah. So that's probably where you put most of the blame at. Another thing is that, like, Trustees, this thing's kind of been burning us. I'd say this specifically is when a winger goes up and they get the ball, and then they turn back to drop it to whoever their outside back is, that has been a mayhem pass for us. Like, that gets intercepted a lot. That's created some really gnarly counterattacks against us. Like, it's just been a problem spot. I think that's something to watch because I don't know if Aronson really put us in a good spot when he tried to drop that ball back. I think that's how we lost it too. So,
Yeah, we've talked about that a
another
couple
thing
times
there,
now. Just trying to
right?
play too much to the back in this scenario. It's
Well,
just
in
going to
this,
be a shootout.
yeah,
Whoever wants to win this game, it's going to be you're going to have to score some goals.
right. So, anyway, so about South Korea, like, yeah, their own press was like, "Hey, did the team have food poisoning? During this game, like, it makes no sense why we looked like this." And
Mhm.
that's just how poor they've been. It really hurts, but like that's just how like Son's been like this like the whole MLS season. Really struggled to find form. I mean, he's been an assist guy, but then even in this World Cup, like just has not played very well, and just kind of the form has been missing him. So that's been a big shock that they're coming home early. But I again, like you said, I think it is really fun to see South Africa move on. First time ever, I believe, that they've advanced out of their group like this. So that's a fun story to track. And did you mention who they're slotted to play right now in the knockout?
Not yet. So it was. I was going to say Mexico actually got probably the worst. As it sits right now, it could always change, but there's a good likelihood. Mexico probably got the worst hand dealt out of all the host nations in terms of their first matchup in the knockouts, and it looks like it's going to be Ecuador, which is as tough as a round of 32 matchup as you can get. I mean, for a Mexico side that has struggled offensively at times in this tournament, with Aronson just had a chance there and wasn't able to
Yeah,
score,
might have
but.
been handball, anyways.
Um, Mexico, although they scored 3 goals in the last game, still wasn't like pretty. Like that first half wasn't great. Like it's been like some gifted goals in their direction. Are now going to go against an Ecuador side that is about as stout as you can get defensively in this World Cup, and two Champions League finalist center backs in
Right.
Cape and Pacho sitting there in the back line. Like that's going to be a low scoring affair. It's going to be in the Azteca, and that place is going to be crazy. The funny part is that the big thing about Azteca is the altitude, and that's what a lot of teams struggle with when they go to Azteca is altitude, altitude, altitude. The only nation, Tony, that has a higher altitude than the Azteca is Ecuador, and like that's a I think if you're them, it is probably one of the more unfortunate drawings you could get in that scenario. But I see that being a low scoring 1-0 victory one way or another for whoever wins that game. And I think it's going to be one of the more fun round of 32 matchups to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, there's going to be a lot of tasty matchups. Just the way, like, it's kind of funny when you root for like some of these teams to get upset, like the Cape Verdes and stuff. You love watching them succeed. Well, then what happens with that is that that makes the big giants, like, they slide down a little bit and end up starting to play each other earlier than maybe what we'd expect. And it's made for even round of 32 games as we go on a nice breakaway here. Round of 32 games to create some awesome matchups. Like, every single one is going to be must watch, I think. Well, I say that Egypt and Iran maybe not all that exciting, but like, you'll have a few of those. But it's gonna get real tight real quick when you weed out only. I mean, there's only been 8 teams that are gonna get knocked out of this, or sorry, 12 teams. Is it 8 or 12? We're at that point of the night, or 16. It's 16.
Well, there's 16 teams that get knocked out because 32 go to the
Yeah,
knockout
right.
stage. Yep.
So, I mean, like, we don't have that many outliers. Like, just as many teams that have been like, oh man, they've been really good. They're going to go on a run. Like, we have not had many of those, and we have not had many of the other way where it's like, oh, these guys don't deserve to be here. They've been terrible, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can count on your hand probably both categories. So, dang, we lost ball there. Thought that was going to find Weston's feet. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just making it a really exciting tournament for us.
Mm-hmm. Into Group B, we'll talk about the other host nation, Canada, end up losing to Switzerland on the final group stage game and get second place in their group. Unfortunate thing for that scenario is that Canada now leaves Canada for their knockout games, which is what they wanted to avoid. And that I think that's sad. Actually a little sad for the Canadian fans that they don't get to have that home soil knockout game.
I'm not
But
sad for
in the
Jesse
same
Marsh.
breath, and this happened in an interview. I forget who it was with Canada that was in the interview. He was getting a ton of questions about that. Like it was, how do you feel about not getting the home game? Da da da. And he kind of said he was like guys, like I'm disappointed we lost. I wish we would have won today. But at the same time, Canada just got to the knockout stage for the first time ever in their country's
Yeah.
history. Like that needs to be celebrated. And if you're for that nation and what they accomplished, they have that game against Qatar that they just go bananas, and that's enough to get them across the line. And I think it's a good result for Canada. I mean, to say that they would have gotten on the knockouts, they would have taken coming into this tournament. So I think they're happy. They wish they were in Canada, but I think it'll be interesting to watch how that game plays out when they
Crazy
get a
long
knockout
ball
stage.
here.
I think they have South Africa is who they're going to end up playing, which is about as good as a first round matchup as you can get. As we just said,
Yeah.
South Africa is one of the weaker teams. And then from there, I think that's where the road gets really tough. I think they have like what's one of the big dogs. Let me pull up the knockout here. Right, it's either Netherlands or Morocco. So they're getting the winner of that
Jeez.
result there, which is tough. And then if they were to somehow win the game, it's probably France or Germany. So it's a road not great traveled for them.
Yeah. Gonna be rough. By the way,
Yeah.
I have the Paraguay Australia game on in my second monitor, and I swear every time I look over, there's a Paraguay guy on the ground. Like this has looked like a very physical game. Like I mean, obviously they're both playing for security, but if they tie, then they probably both go through. But if someone wins and pokes in that just safety goal, then that's going to be tough. Like the 3-point teams are not necessarily safe. So I think that they're kind of both playing for the win right now instead of what we feared, which was a lazy draw or whatever. So
Yeah, coming into it, we said if 4 points was the line, if you hit 4 points, you're more than likely. It was like 99% chance of getting through, and that's what it's ending up to be. Is that 4 point line? If you get 4 points, you're basically moving on. So
yeah,
any team that's finishing at that 500 record in the group stage is sitting in a good spot. Um, Moving to Group C, I'll talk about that really quick because there is a yellow card being shown to someone. I don't know who that's going to.
yeah, it's one of
Berhalter,
oh yeah,
which is not good actually for the team in this game. Oh, he got up high on the shin there. I don't think he got
yeah
it
he's
clean enough to get a red card, but he's definitely deserving
it,
of a yellow.
yeah. I was gonna say that's borderline orange there.
Yeah, he didn't hit it long enough. Usually when you get that red, you've got to like really plant it in there.
Yeah, but he brings it down. That's the part that's kind of the force part.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't like stick. It was more like it
Yeah,
hit and came off. So that he's probably lucky because if it is an inch to the left, he's probably getting a red card right now.
right.
um, we'll get into Group B here: Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, Haiti. Of course, Scotland was about as best of the stories we've had in terms of the fan bases, which has been one of the best parts of all of this. Um, and they win that game against Haiti, and then they go against Morocco and Brazil. We all knew that was going to be the tough result, and they struggle, and it looks like Scotland is going to be leaving us, so that's sad. But Brazil tops the group. Morocco comes in second, same on points. It just came down to goal differential, and Brazil really put it on Scotland in that third game to keep them clear. So that group went about as exactly as it was scheduled when we did our
Yeah.
predictions before the group stage started.
America couldn't take more Scotland. They were going to drink all our beer.
Scotland will
So,
party.
yeah, exactly. So it is sad to see them go. It was fun to, I mean, like they were a fun story even qualifying for this tournament, right? So it's awesome that it came to fruition here. I think that maybe in some ways they feel a little bit frustrated with eventually how it turned out, but at the end of the day, like it was a Scotland
Quick
team that was going to struggle.
quick side note: I think our
Yeah.
worst player on the field so far has been Tim Weah, and it's not even close. He's been really bad. Like he's mishit so many passes to players,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
there's
been
been
a
a
tough
few
go
that
for
he
him
hasn't
early on.
tracked down either, but
He's playing on the left wing, which I know is different for him, but it's not pretty so far. And I think he's one of the guys you expect more out of in the starting lineup that has had World Cup experience before.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. This
Um,
has kind of gotten to the point where the game's been a little bit just chopped up with fouls and stuff, and
mhm.
not a lot of flow. So hard to take too
Yep.
much more
Both teams. Oh, this is a good. Oh, that was a better pass. That's a good
overhit. Yeah,
situation for Turkey.
right.
Um, Group E ended up being one of the more entertaining groups here so far in the finish line with Germany, Ivory Coast, Ecuador, Curacao. It wasn't necessarily the top teams. Germany and Ivory Coast both get 6 points. Great for Ivory Coast, by the way. A great,
Mm-hmm.
great, great result for them to get out of the group as a second place team. Um, it was Ecuador in the final game having to go against Germany. It's win or go home, and they score in the 80th minute to get that victory. And the place was going nuts. There wasn't, I don't know if there was a single Germany fan of that game. It was all yellow jerseys in that stadium. Their coach was as entertaining as it gets, which was fun to watch. And then it, it was just, it's cool to see those some of those nations that struggle early and then they bounce back and beat a team like Germany to get a result. I mean, a lot of people had Ecuador as a dark horse, so I don't think it's a surprise that they're capable of something like that. But it is I think a fun result to see like a late winner at the end of these group stages because this new format has kind of taken the excitement out of some of these final games, with the head to head being the
Mm-hmm.
tiebreaker first. So it's cool to still have some of those moments where you see a team like Ecuador have to go for it all, a team that's not offensively gifted, and get that late goal to take down Germany, who was playing a lot of real players in that game too.
Right. I was going to ask you, like, I've been kind of thinking about this myself, like, how these changes with the third place team and the head to head stuff. Like, I think technically there's probably been, more matches of consequence, we'll call it, come this last go around. But it's still kind of surprising to me, like, that there has been a lot of games where it's been like, oh, I don't really have to worry about picking between the two games that are happening right now because like one doesn't really matter and the other one does, kind of thing. So, um, I I think overall, I'm sure we've had it. It probably has made everything more competitive, but it certainly feels like it hasn't. And the counter to that too. My last parting comment with that is, well, now we have a whole extra round of 32 of just single elimination knockout games that we didn't have before. So it's like that really balances everything out too. That like, well, you have 16 more games that are ultra competitive because it's your life or death, in it. So I think that ultimately I'm okay with it, but there are parts of me that maybe just still getting used to it, figuring it out. I think the third place stuff has kind of been a headache a lot of times to see like who's going to play where and when and like all the scenarios. I've not had fun tracking that down. I've just kind of been like, all right, well, I'll wait till everyone says it's confirmed and then I'll believe them because like trying to guess who's going to be where, if you're not a first or second place team, has been kind of a nightmare. So
Mm-hmm.
I do get a little bit peeved by that part. But going back to Group C, Ecuador, I think maybe was a little bit what's the word? Not disappointing, but I think we thought they were a little bit slow, in my opinion, because everyone was calling them a dark horse, and then they came in, and they dropped results to Ivory Coast, end up beating Curacao, and then it's like, okay, how are we gonna do this against Germany? And they did. Um, I don't know if I can call them a sleeper anymore, if I'm being honest. I just the way that they've been playing. I mean,
Oh, I agree.
it's hard to say, but
It's offensively challenged is the correct term. I
correct.
mean, Enter Valencia has been their striker for 4 World Cups now. It feels like, and they still have no new attacking talent. Vite came in, gave him a little bit of juice today,
Yeah, a little spark.
but it was a tough watch with them throughout the group stage. I mean, they didn't score their first goal until the third game, so that explains that. I
That
mean,
tells
that's
you
what
right.
Turkey just did as well in this game. So um, the fact that they're getting out of the group while only scoring in one game is a gift from the gods.
It's
But
pretty crazy.
that also speaks to what we talked about. Their defensive line is amazing. Like they have a great defensive line, a lot of depth
Hmm.
there. It's just and a midfield. I mean, you have Moises Caicedo sitting in your midfield in front of the defensive line, and who's a more natural defender than attacker as a player. So it's a really stout defensive team, and that's where I go back to. them now being matched up against Mexico, who hasn't allowed a goal in this tournament. Like, that is two teams that are going to, I think, come down to one of the last shots in the game or extra time and penalties if needed, because that's how good those teams are defensively right now. It'll be an interesting watch as the Mexico fans probably whistle down at their team when Ecuador is still pitching a shutout in the 70th minute of that game in the
Yeah.
Azteca.
Yeah, and honestly, like they were not a host nation, but they might as well have been because
Mm-hmm.
every game they had like a really really great following, and I think that's been an advantage for them. I'm sure that following will be with them in the knockouts, but at the end of the day, like if they have that kind of support and they're still like kind of putting up these results, I'm a little bit worried. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, probably enough on Group C here.
Yep. Group F was the last one we saw before our group just kicked off here, and that was the Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, Tunisia. Tunisia, probably one of the worst group World Cup performances we've
Thanks
seen
for
in a long
coming out,
time.
Tunisia. Yep.
Yeah, the rest in peace. That team and that probably another coach here soon. The game was that everyone was watching here at the end was the Japan Sweden game, because that game swung if Sweden was going to get into the group stage and also who would finish in second place. That game ends up in a draw. Japan took a lead, and you were like, "Uh-oh, Sweden might be eliminated here." And then Anthony Lenga had a beautiful goal
Yeah.
to get them back in that one. They hold on, and they're going to move on to the group stage with 4 points and a goal differential of 0. So, great result for Sweden after that rough game against the Netherlands, for them to bounce back like that. And it's cool to see. I mean, I think all three of those teams have talent to make a competitive game in the round of 32. So I really have my eye, of course, on Netherlands the most. I think their defensive line is really strong, really, really, really strong, and it's going to
Ooh.
provide. We're going to see a little fight
Oh,
here.
yeah.
McKenzie was pushing.
Reina got, or was that Aronson?
Rusty.
I mean, are we
How
still
is that not a
playing, or
yellow?
did they
He just
stop?
got murdered.
Did the play stop?
No,
Okay.
the ref has
Well, I
no
think
control.
I was gonna say
That's a corner.
rough day for refing. So
Oh,
the
the
Sweden
Japan
Japan.
Sweden ref was
Yeah.
horrible.
This is way getting dispossessed here.
Yeah,
Now
Wales
show
does not have a
show
good
show the McKenzie cheap shot because that's what started that. Like he got lit up going for
I
a
hate when
header.
broadcasts don't show stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what we all want to see.
Right. Anyways, but yeah, like, and what was interesting about that game too is like Japan had everything to go for in that game, and like really towards the end, Sweden got the equalizer, and they kept pushing. Sweden was getting some looks for to go ahead, and Japan kind of sat back.
Yeah,
Um,
that attacking front is like what's really good for Sweden. You know, you've Isak and
right.
Gyökeres up front, and those two just really haven't gotten going at any point. Oh, oh!
I mean, how
U.S.
is
score offside.
call?
It
Oh, yeah, I
looks like
think it's
it's
off.
called offside. We will see the
We've
replay
seen this
here.
before. We've seen this
I
before,
think it
though.
was whoever hit it first. I don't think it was Mark McKenzie.
Oh, by
I
the
think
way,
it was
someone's getting stretchered off from Paraguay. I missed all that.
McKenzie's
Oh, yeah,
offside
he's-
there, but there's another hit. Yeah, Pepe was off. Okay, yeah, that's an offside.
Yeah.
That's not a goal. Wait, but if it hits off the defensive player, does it matter?
It's where you were when the first ball was played. So
Okay, so it is offside. So good chance there for the U.S., just a little bit offside. But I like to see them getting back into this offensively a little bit. You know, Turkey's playing scrappy, and I think it might be a little pissed off energy from how they've played in the first two games. You got to be careful. You don't want, if you're Mark McKenzie in this scenario, you don't want to get sent
Right.
off with a red card or do something stupid that's going to hurt this team, which I think is the big emphasis right now. I think the more so, Tony. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I think we need to see more from Tim Weah and Ricardo Pepi in this one so far. They've not really been super involved. Oh, great chance for Turkey here.
oh,
And Turkey scores. That is tough. That is a tough turnaround.
I mean, this four back's not it's not working.
No.
I think that I mean honestly from what we've been watching, I made the comment like it feels like it's been pretty choppy this game, and I think that we've just had a hard time really like collecting ourselves and possessing out, and like it just feels like all this possession that we've been giving them has been us losing it, not them earning it. Um, and yeah,
Miles Robinson's got to clear that. That's so bad.
yeah, he kind of whiffs on that, but also Joe Scally left his winger on island. He was not aware enough to chase down. I think that was Yildiz that broke on the corner. So we kind of had a weird situation where we had three guys on the ball and nobody open or nobody defending on the wing there.
Not ideal. Not how you'd like this first half to go after going up so early. Um,
Right.
you're seeing these transition moments really break us down, and then the back line's not really adjusting. And you've seen two defensive errors from center backs and McKenzie, and now I think Miles Robinson really needs to be able to clear that ball or get something on the ball. You can't just not touch it. And it's exactly what we talked about, though. Is what we were worried about. And look, now they have a breaking away again. I don't know what Joe Scally's
Yeah.
doing. I'll be honest. I don't know where
Right. I
he
was gonna
is.
say there's just a lot of room for them to do that, and then there's this runner here, no support. Um,
Clear it.
yeah, we're gonna.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is like summer 2025 all over again.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting these guys are the veterans on Turkey that are on this field look a step ahead of some of these guys in the
Right.
U.S.
Well, like I said, if you're worried about what's happening in Paraguay, Australia, somebody got cleated to the face, and I think they're still playing, but it is just as chippy over there as it is over here. But yeah, this is to be expected, right? I'm maybe not allowing two goals like this, but we've talked about this, especially in the defense when you're gonna like when we're rotating. That's just kind of where we are right now with our roster. Um, we don't have a lot of depth defensively like we do offensively. And I think we're going to see some of that. We've seen, I think, Scally just right now kind of unravel a little bit. But even, Mark McKenzie, mistake. Miles Robinson probably could have done better clearing a line there. And all of this,
Oh gosh,
all of this stitched together
another
with
center back error.
we can't we can't possess right now.
Like they can't play
they're
out of the back. That's the back line. That's the
right.
problem.
Well, and not to defend the back line, but I kind of am watching this and saying, where's their next pass? Like it is, there's not much option available. It seems like, I mean, maybe it's because Berhalter's the only one back, kind of on an island, and Reyna
Well,
and McKennie are kind of too far up, and it's feeling disconnected. They can't really get those passes, but
yeah, that's what we're talking about. This is why we didn't want to see Wes McKinney in there in the center mid position, because this is exactly what has happened is like the defensive support, and like
yeah,
we
but he's
love
not
Wes
really
McKinney
playing
for what
that
he
way.
does. He's just not a
Yeah,
defender, and that can just sit back there all game. And it's like he wants to get up the field, but that leaves us one less opportunity, or one guy less that's passing from the back for the back line as an outlet at times.
yeah. I would argue though Wes is kind of playing the double 10 right now. Like him and Reyna have both been kind of up top and flowing around. And maybe that's part of the issue too, is we haven't seen him kind of run back and get the trailing runner when our back line's trying to hold firm and push Turkey back from countering. So I don't know. What do they call there? Offside? Weird calls. It's getting a little frustrated here for sure. You can kind of see it in the body language, especially from the U.S.
Yeah, tough go so far. We'll see. You got to keep it at least to one goal going to half, because then that's where Poch can adjust some things and help the team out. And I'm not even saying rotating players, but we wanted to see momentum, and they scored the goal early. We got excited, and now it's
Right.
you took the foot off the gas. The attacking that you saw in the start of the game, and you haven't seen that since.
Also, kind of wild that, especially if Mark McKenzie's goal would have counted, we would have had
Oh, it's a
Freeman,
quick switch.
McKenzie,
Yes.
yeah, and Trusty all scoring. Uh, it's like it's our defender's dream.
Like,
Yeah, so I don't know. That's better than just letting it roll right through. Uh,
I know, but that's your job. Isn't that your job is to make sure it doesn't at all, and that's where you see the levels. I mean, that's why there's Chris Richards and Tim Ream starting because you're
right.
seeing these center backs make errors that you haven't seen the other two make.
I just wonder too. Like, I mean, this is a different formation, and you're putting the subs in that. Is it, I don't know if this is even what they train in. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, Turkey is dicing up that
Yeah.
midfield right now. It's not even a competition.
In a way, I'm okay with this. Like going back to the game state stuff. I want to see what we do with this. Are we just gonna, you know, bow down, or are we gonna actually fight back? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. This has got to be a super frustrating watch as a Turkey supporter.
Oh,
Just
right.
seeing what this team is doing in this game versus what they've done in the other games. Like they're just attacking, and this is what I talked about. That's why I thought it was going to be a better Turkey performance today because you're not facing a low block. Like the USA wants to come out and play, they're going to have more opportunities, and they have the talent. I mean, you've seen Goler and Yildiz like have their effect on this game, and now you get put in a situation like this where you're going to have better chances in front of net, and that's what they've had. You haven't seen them settle for the outside the box shots in this game, that's for sure. They
Right.
are attacking from the wings relentlessly.
See this right here. So there's a moment where Berhalter's on the ball, and he's got nowhere forward to go because McKennie and Reyna are both so hard like high up, and both the passing lanes are cut, and neither of them are running into space.
That is
Like this,
that was a great
there,
job by Berhalter after that.
yeah. But there is no pass available for the defenders here. Like even in that, like that was 50-50 at best, and we got bailed out with a foul.
I mean, it feels like one of those rotated games that we've had, like when we've had
Right.
to build up to this World Cup, like where it's been like, oh, Tim Way has a chance here, played across the net, and it's gathered by the keeper.
Yeah.
That's better. I mean, that's the type of attack you want to see.
Well,
I think it's an
here's
interesting
what
move to have Tim Way on the left-hand side because that's just he's so much better off
it's
his right
very
foot.
interesting.
Once again,
I don't know if you caught this too, but that was kind of a set piece play there. Pepe dropped back to pull up the center backs to give another runner, either Weston or Gio, the space to slot back, but Tim Weah couldn't get that ball through anyways. Another frustrating foul. Aaronson's mad. It's always good.
yeah, like I said, I think right now you got to get to halftime. You
Regroup.
cannot have a third goal.
Right. Now, this is also screaming for I would love to see 15, 20 minutes of Pulisic. Imagine him coming on and just flipping the game on its head. Like, talk about
Or
momentum.
Dest, or someone
Or
like
Dest.
that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we have not really even had oh my gosh, had the conversation about how was that not a goal kick or a
What?
corner kick?
A corner?
Like definitely hit Miles Robinson, right? Am I crazy?
No. It went right off his
Yes,
shoulder.
it did. No, it hit him right in the chest.
Or, sorry, I was saying, like, it went off of him.
Okay, they corrected it. Um,
Okay.
the we haven't even talked about the Christian Pulisic injury situation. So he never played against Australia, which they did not play him, and that all ended up working out. He has
Yeah.
stated that he's good to go. He's healthy. He's on the bench for this game. We'll see if we get an appearance. I think we both think if he's healthy and feels good, it is good for him to get at least 15, 20 minutes in, just to get a little rep in before the knockout game. Um, but it will be interesting to see because you also just don't want to play with fire, which I think is the scary part, and see anybody get injured for an unnecessary game like this. We want to keep momentum, but we also want to have our best team for that matchup. Now, see, yeah, I've talked about it again. McKenny's so far up, like
Yeah.
it really is just Berhalter on this island.
Well, I mean, it's just not good for the passing. Like, where's McKenzie supposed to go right
That's a
here?
great touch
Yeah,
by
he
Pepe.
finds Pepe amazingly, but that's a hard pass to pick out.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
so bad.
and it's high risk, high reward, right? Because if you do find Pepe in that spot, like it had 5 U.S. runners right there and a real good chance. But that's a hard pass to find.
Yeah.
We went short on the corner, which is interesting.
Uh-oh. Oh,
Wow, lucky he tripped. See Pepe here. He's like he had that first where he thought Weston was going to send him long, and he backed the line up, and now he's going to try and do it again. He likes to take off whenever Weston has the ball.
ooh, good chance here. Build up with
Yeah,
Gio Reyna. Oh, that's a lot of jerseys they had of them.
yeah. This is just
Now it's another counter from Turkey here. Problem is, we benched all of our guys that you would consider as like the game changers in the game for the most part, that are like guys that can win you 1v1s.
right.
And Turkey rotated everyone except for those guys. Like they kept to the Yildiz and the
They
Joys
kept
of
all
the
the big
world.
dogs. Yeah,
Yeah. So now that Turkey's got a corner opportunity here that we're watching, and it's I think this is still something they can learn from.
oh yeah. That's at least they're used to
Oh,
this now.
whoa!
Ooh. I don't know how a turkey guy fell on the floor, and that was a foul for us, but
Now the
we'll
perfect
take it.
scenario, Tony, we both would love would be an equalizer before half, and then you can kind of be like, okay, let's reset here.
Right.
Let's restructure what we're doing. If we want to make some subs, we can make some subs.
I just that was a weird Miles. I mean, he didn't really clear it, but he popped it up. Kind of sketchy scenario there.
I think you've got to consider some type of change on the Tim Weah, like where he is on the field.
Yeah, hopefully that it does something
Like, is it even him moving to the right back or right wing position,
for
in changing
Scally.
that around? Because it feels like that's just
Yeah.
where he is most effective. If he's on the ball here, let's see if he can do anything with it. But look, he like wants to be on that right foot.
Right.
Drives on his left, and he can't do anything with
And
it.
he's stuck because his left is the one that's going to have to cross it.
He's not
If he
looked
doesn't
good.
get the shot, then yeah, I agree with you. It just his strength isn't there. He's kind of stuck when he's got that left. He's only got his left to work with.
Watch McKinney from distance gets a shot that gets parried away. Oh, Berhalter just
Jeez.
got crushed.
Yeah, see,
He
he's
can't get another yellow.
he's so mad at Arda Güler.
I mean, that was a heavy
I think
tackle. This
there's the
ref is
West
allowed so
chance.
much.
I know. Come on,
That
show
ball
us
was
the foul.
knuckling from Weston McKinney, by
Yeah,
the
that
way.
was moving a lot.
That had
Right.
some wicked movement on it.
Oh, and a deflection too. Went off that one guy's back, and then we don't see the foul. Come on, Fox.
This is what we've talked about where Sebastian Berhalter is helpful for this team, though. These exact
Yeah, he's gonna
situations right here, the
deliver.
set pieces, you
Yep.
want to see
Oh, and then they
them
went
take
short and
advantage of
quick.
that.
And now he's
Oh,
whipping it in.
oh, they called a foul? Wow.
Weird. That's pretty light. I mean, his hand to the back, but it's just
That's where I hate that call when you're allowing guys body
right.
checking each other in the midfield the way they are. You're allowing Turkey to do whatever they want. Once again, it would be great to see the U.S. and this rotated squad get back into the game with a goal at some point in the second half and keep up this momentum. Gosh,
See,
Wiz.
yeah. Well, and again,
That
like,
it's frustrating because he's the veteran guy on this field right now. He's the guy that
right.
with him and Weston, like you're the guys that have the most experience. It's a good job from Scally there.
Yeah, that was nice. This is where you got to go.
Kenny's looked good when in the minutes that he's been playing.
Oh, as he
Oh, you
out
gotta
dribbled.
get that ball past
Yeah.
Scally.
Yeah, Aronson was waiting for it on the wing there. Come on, let's need to register a shot. Just want a good, scary look, not this half chance.
Gio gets a corner out of that. Gosh, they are
Yeah.
Turkey is pushing. They're doing anything they can. I think they're probably a little ticked. Of course, no, they should be. And
Yeah.
I think they're trying to maybe ruin the party for the USA here a little bit in terms of just trying to ruin their path forward.
For sure. Yeah.
We'll see. The USA's best chances have come off the corner. We'll see if they can get another one here. Oh, Trusty with a clear header. Puts it over the
Yeah.
bar.
Trusty brace
Would have
would have
done
been
wonders.
first
Well,
half
that's
brace.
I mean, that is a clear, clean header. That's about as good as looking you're going to get. He puts it right
Yeah.
over.
And he got pretty on top of it, too. It wasn't like he just poked his head underneath. He had some. Pepe just got bodied there to win that ball. I think that's another thing, too, with part of this is like the way that we've been pressured by Turkey and we're kind of leaving, it looks like kind of we're playing two halves. Like the midfield is not very cohesive with the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you leave your defense on an island when it comes to passing. It's like, so your two options are you try something that's going to have to break a line or you clear it. Pepe has not really offered us some strength on that hold-up play on those clears to be able to just maintain some possession on that.
That is a tight offside call. They just
Yeah.
made Tim Way on that one. Now, he dispossessed the ball regardless, so didn't really matter. But
Right.
yeah, it would be interesting to see if we see Haji Wright get an opportunity in the second half at some point. You know, we've seen him come in already in the last game, in the first game in some late situations. So we'll see if he gets an opportunity. And, I mean, other attacking options, Zendejas probably gets a look at some point. And then we said it, we might see Pulisic at some point. I'd be
Yeah.
shocked to see him for a full 45, but
Yeah, I don't think so either. But you never know. It's been like another week since our last game, and he may be fresh if he was close going last time, but they were playing it safe. So Pepe was probably off here. Didn't matter. He wasn't able to collect it.
see if the U.S. can get a chance here late into this stoppage time.
Cross to nobody.
A minute left.
Started so good, and then honestly, after those first 5 minutes, it's just been choppy at best.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to take this 1.5 is what it feels like right now. I don't think they're going to push for anything
Passing
here.
around the back with 30 seconds left.
Well, an up and down first half went about as positive as a start as you could have, and then we have now had 2 goals shot back at us. One late chance here. It looks like Aronson's on the ball.
He's gonna get there.
Joe Scally cuts back. Oh no, that is a
He's got a
that's a
lofty
cross
cross that
of all. That is a cross of all time.
anybody, yeah, hospital ball basically.
So the U.S. go down 2-1 at half. They blow it there. Adjustments needed. I'm gonna go back into podcast mode here. So we're gonna do Tuesday's episode to recap with the final, of course, half of this one. We'll see how that ends up, and then we'll of course preview the game to come on Wednesday, which is the knockout game. That's also part of this. Is it's a quick turnaround now. It's not, you don't get the full rest that you've been getting,
Right.
so you're getting a quicker turnaround to that game and making sure that guys are ready to go for that. So we'll recap that. We appreciate you guys listening to this one. It was fun to do a little watch along there for a little bit and talk about the World Cup. But we will see you guys Tuesday, and probably the USA winner in the second half is what I'm calling.
That's
Hopefully,
right.
fingers
That's right.
crossed. Fingers crossed.
Come on. Yeah. All right. See ya.